Okay, let's unpack this. Apple has just unveiled quite a significant visual redesign, something called liquid glass.
That's right. And it looks like it's not just a minor thing. It seems pretty transformative, rolling out across, well, basically all the major platforms.
Right. So today, let's try and get into what this actually is.
Mhm.
What's the core idea behind liquid glass? Where will we see it?
And, importantly, why now? What's the thinking behind this big shift?
Exactly. What does it mean for, how you actually use your iPhone or your Mac day to day?
Well, the first thing that stands out is just the sheer scope. Like you said, it's not just iOS or macOS in isolation. We're talking iOS, iPadOS, macOS, watchOS, even tvOS. It seems like they're really aiming for a unified look and feel across the entire ecosystem, building on things we saw hints of in visionOS, actually.
A foundational shift, then, not just a paint job.
Precisely.
So liquid glass, what does that mean visually? What does it look like?
The key concepts seem to be translucency and depth. So think less flat, opaque panels and more interfaces with transparent or sort of semi-transparent elements. Windows, panes, toolbars. You can kind of see through them to what's underneath.
With layers.
Exactly, layers. It gives this sense of depth, like things are floating a bit. Some of the material described it as shimmering panes, which gives you that idea of a glass-like quality, maybe subtle reflections.
Huh. And it's dynamic, too. It changes.
Yeah, this seems really important. It's not static glass. It's meant to react.
React how? To light or...
Both, it seems. It might subtly adapt to the ambient light around you, but more noticeably, it reacts to the content behind the elements and how you interact.
So, like, if I scroll...
Right. As you scroll, maybe a header or a sidebar shows a kind of dynamic blur effect based on what's moving underneath it. It makes the interface feel more fluid, responsive, alive almost.
Okay, interesting. So where are the big places we'll see this liquid glass effect?
Well, the control center is a major one they're highlighting. It's getting redesigned and more modular, almost like widgets.
Ah!
And these controls and shortcuts will have these prominent transparent backgrounds, plus more customization, pulling in third-party controls too, all into this glassy look.
Makes sense.
What else? Safari is another big one. The address bar, for instance, becomes semi-transparent.
Right.
But the really neat trick is how it apparently samples colors from the web page you're looking at.
Oh, wow.
And subtly tints the address bar to match, so the browser feels more connected to the content.
That's a fantastic little detail. Changes the whole feel.
It does, and you'll see it elsewhere too, like those little floating confirmation panels for Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. They'll use it.
Got it.
Toolbars in Apple's own apps are getting the treatment. Even inside the Settings app, different sections might look layered and semi-transparent. It's getting pretty embedded.
So clearly not just cosmetic. This leads to the big why. Why this huge overhaul across everything?
Yeah, this is where the strategy comes in. Apple seems to be aiming for one single, recognizable visual language across all devices.
Yeah.
Exactly. And they're building it on a new underlying UI architecture. Some are calling it Solarium.
Solarium sounds airy.
It does, right. And it fits. Solarium isn't just the look. It's described as a whole interface language built around ideas like spatial navigation, that layered depth we talked about, and making things responsive to context.
Okay, so Solarium is the foundation, liquid glass is the look.
That seems to be the idea. Solarium provides the framework for elements to feel like they exist almost in space, not just flat on the screen. Liquid glass is how that's expressed visually.
So for me, using my iPhone and then my Mac, what's the practical benefit?
Consistency, mainly. It should reduce that mental gear shift when you move between devices. The visual cues, the transparency, the way things react, they're the same everywhere.
Right, less friction.
Yeah, it makes the whole ecosystem feel more like one continuous thing, just adapting to the screen you're on. More intuitive, hopefully.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, the elephant in the room, Vision Pro. How much is this new design influenced by the spatial computer?
Oh, hugely. The influence seems really profound, actually, on a couple of levels.
Like the physical design.
Partly, yeah. Vision Pro's hardware, that single piece of curved glass, it set a tone, a seamless blend of hardware and software. A liquid glass kind of echoes that material feel in the software. But the deeper influence is probably from the Vision Pro interface itself. You know how its UI elements float in your actual space? They have depth, they react to light.
The whole spatial computing concept.
Exactly, interacting with eyes and hands. That's fundamentally changing how Apple thinks about interfaces, even on flat screens. Features like Eyesight on Vision Pro, where the front looks transparent.
Yeah.
Conceptually, that mirrors the software transparency in liquid glass. It's about breaking down barriers, making the digital feel more integrated.
So it's not just copying the look of Vision Pro.
No, it's more like injecting the principles of spatial design into their traditional operating systems.
Huh.
Think about it. Liquidglass and Solarium are getting millions of people used to interfaces with depth, layers, dynamic reactions. It's subtly preparing users for interactions that might go beyond the flat screen.
So it's a bridge towards more spatial interactions in the future.
That seems to be a big part of the picture, yes.
Yeah.
It's conditioning us, perhaps, for what comes next, whether that's on a headset or maybe even future phones or tablets.
Speaking of future hardware, there are rumors this ties into the next iPhone, right? The glass wing?
Yes, that speculation fits very neatly. The rumors suggest things like more curved glass edges, a display that feels more integrated into the body.
Making the phone itself feel more like seamless glass?
Right, and this liquid glass software aesthetic with its transparency and layers would be the perfect visual match for hardware like that. It suggests software and hardware design working hand in glove.
Okay, so pulling it all together. Liquid glass, built on Solarium, influenced by Vision Pro, hinting at future hardware. What's the takeaway for someone listening right now?
Well, immediately, it means your Apple devices should start to look and feel more cohesive, maybe more modern. Moving between your phone, tablet, computer should feel a bit smoother, more intuitive.
A unified experience.
That's the surface level.
Right.
But underneath, it looks like Apple is laying groundwork. They're evolving their interface language, making concepts from spatial computing feel normal before spatial computing is necessarily mainstream for everyone. It's a shift towards interfaces that are more dynamic, maybe more integrated with the world around us eventually.
Fascinating stuff. Lots to watch out for.
Definitely. And it leaves you wondering, given how deeply these Vision Pro ideas are now influencing all the platforms via liquid glass, how else might we see spatial or 3D concepts pop up? Not just visual depth, but maybe new ways to interact on our iPhones or Macs. What does this shift towards layers and responsiveness mean for apps, for how we even think about a digital interface down the line?
Good questions to ponder. Well, that's all the time we have for today.
A lot to keep an eye on in the next updates.
For sure. Stay tuned for more updates, but don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for joining us.